Kathy Weaver joined the networking team. Oh, the fun of networking. Do you like networking? She joined it in 2008, and she co-founded her Miracle with Water company. She started networking with the greatest Kansas area and was soon referred to as the master networker, or like I like to call her, the queen of networking. Kathy Weaver. Her involved in various groups over the years, has awards. Her distinguished as 2012 Volunteer of the Year for the Olathe Chamber of Commerce, four-time Walter Olson Membership Achievement Award, and so many other awards. She's been in Kansas City Magazine 2013, Class of the Most Influential Women. And Kathy most recently award was in 20 October when she was selected the Kansas Women Business Advocate of the Year. And that is exactly who Kathy Weaver is. And as a speaker and presenter, Kathy's had the privilege to speaking all over the Midwest. And now she's even went further. She has went into the world of Zoom. Oh my gosh, she's all over the world networking. Sometimes I'm like, Kathy Weaver, everywhere I'm at, you're popping up. Because if Kathy Weaver's not there, I don't know where you're at. In 2014, Kathy was entitled to join the ranks of the facilitator for the Institute of Organization Management for the United States Chamber of Commerce. With her class recruiter engaged, retained, was greeted with much enthusiastic. One of the biggest blessings that Kathy's life, besides her precious family, is her collagen water and igniting company. She does tons with her water company. And if you have not heard about that water, talk to Kathy Weaver. You really need to know. 2014, Kathy Weaver became a certified trainer in that. She uses all of those skills, her skill sets. She has written 3 books. She's wrote 1 book, Network on Steroids. And then what did we have to do? Do you guys remember what happened in 2020? We had to figure out how to network again. She wrote another networking book on how to network after that. She has wrote 3 books. She also wrote the book, Hit the Clouds Running and Never Look Back. And that's about how to deal with grief and how to speak with others that are dealing with grief. Kathy Weaver has not only written those 3 books, but she has put them on YouTube. If you're not following Kathy Weaver on YouTube, I don't know what you're doing. Follow Kathy Weaver on YouTube to find so much needed advice. Let's welcome the one, the only, the amazing Kathy Weaver.
I have decided that I'm going to take Sherry with me everywhere I go and have her do my intro. That was like rock star amazing. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate so much being part of this Purposeful Joy Summit. And I want seriously for you to remember, I have 30 minutes. I almost said 30 seconds, which feels like that sometimes, but I have 30 minutes and it's going to go fast. So when we go through some of these things that I'm going to be talking about, don't panic because as Sherry mentioned, this is recorded. So we're going to get started. Maybe, there we go. We're going to get started so that we can actually see some of the things that Sherry was mentioning. Networking on Steroids, PQ, which stands for post-quarantine, was born during the pandemic, of course. I have been networking full-time, as Sherry mentioned, since 2008. But obviously with the shutdown, the tips and techniques that we use in person need to be altered just a tad when we are going post-quarantine via Zoom, via social media. So let's think about that. If you chose a word in 2020, which I actually chose in December of 2019, and my word for 2020 was expectation. Now, what would happen if I had expected to thrive, to be filled with joy, whatever that looks like, and the world shut down in March of 2020? Expectation for me still worked, and we're going to talk about why. Did you choose a word for all these years? I have, I think every year since probably 2015 or so. For 2021, after the supposed shutdown and we were opened up again, Obviously, we talked about this a bit earlier, not so much, but my word then was resilient as opposed to resilience. And the reason for that is I saw so many people who not only survived 2020, but they thrived during the pandemic. They took that shutdown time and turned it into amazing. So I'm looking at the faces on this screen right now, ladies. Resilient comes to mind all over again. We had issues, we had challenges, and look what you've done. Look what you've done. So reach really far and pat yourself on the back because you're here today wanting to celebrate more purposeful joy in your life. Now, one of the things for me that got me through everything and gets me through everything now is my faith. Do you have a specific scripture verse that gets you through challenges, rough times, different things that are happening in your business, things like that? I do. And for me, it's I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. If you have a higher power, whatever your worship looks like, what got you through the 2020 when you weren't with your friends and your colleagues on a daily basis? And these are some of the things we're going to talk about today. What gets us through? Did you thrive? Did you suffer challenges? And are you resilient? Now, my friend, the tsunami duck, is, I think you might say, a symbol to what 2020 looked like for me. I think of the tsunami, obviously travesty as far as storm, and I think of a duck. Go to a lake, watch the ducks. They are gliding along like they don't have a care in the world. But when you look just a scooch underneath the surface of that water, they are paddling their little hearts out. And sometimes for a lot of us, life feels like the tsunami duck. Literally, the tsunami duck is one of the chapters in Networking on Steroids post-quarantine. Now, again, this is the part where I don't want you to go, wait, I can't go that fast. What does your LinkedIn profile look like? Since we've talked a lot about being online to network now, social media presence, networking and your online presence is the segment of the Purposeful Joy e-Summit that I was thrilled to be a part of, because I got to see when I was doing all of this virtual networking, the first places people go to check you out is LinkedIn. Sometimes it's Facebook too. Sometimes it's Twitter. Sometimes it's Instagram. And sometimes it's YouTube. So let's think of the places that people are checking you out. What does your LinkedIn profile look like? Do you have a QR code? By the way, the answer is yes, you do. And I'll show you how to get there. We were obviously unable to see our friends. How many of you attended a drive-by birthday party? People are planted in their own yards and you drive by and go, hey, how are you? Happy birthday, see ya. And no hugging, no touching. Everybody's in a mask. And all of a sudden it felt a little weird, yeah, but at least you got to see people a little bit in person. So if networking is in person, that's awesome. If we had to punt and pivot, that's a different story. But if you got to do a drive-by birthday party, at least you were outside. So thus Zoom began. Now, the good news for me is because of my Kangen water company, I have been Zooming before. It was cool, as I say, because not all my clients are local. So we had to punt and pivot probably 5 years ago, because if I'm setting up a water machine for a client, I can't do it in person if they live across the globe, but I can do it on a Zoom call. So that's one of the things that is such a blessing. Whatever your favorite teleconferencing system is, whatever your favorite social media platform is, each of us is different. Absolutely. And each of us has a skill level, and we're going to talk about some of those techniques right now. So let's talk about Zoom etiquette a little bit. This always makes me think of the commercials. Hello, put your camera up. You got things happening that we don't need to see. Yeah. A lot of times people are going, do you wear pants on a Zoom call? And of course, ladies, you know the rest of that story. Well, yes. It's one of those things people stop the sentence right off the bat. Absolutely. Zoom gave us a little more, shall we say, freedom. But with that freedom comes responsibility. And what does Zoom etiquette mean to you? Now, in this particular case, please know, after we had our dynamic event last night with Sherry and Terry Ann on the first 3 speakers that were spectacular, by the way, we were allowed to turn off our cameras, just first of all for distraction for the speaker perhaps, but also it's not required on this call. I have been on calls where I request people to have their cameras on if possible, so that we can actually engage back and forth. Because I usually say, if you have a this, can you raise your hand? If you have a something, can you join in? Whatever that looks like. But on this particular call, Sherry and Terry Ann gave us the freedom to turn off our cameras if we wanted to. But let's think about that as far as a Zoom etiquette conversation, okay? Next up, is Zoom fatigue a real thing? Now, Sherry and Terry Ann last night mentioned mindset in their presentations. People talk about Zoom fatigue. I'm on Zoom all day long. For me, I say, I'm on Zoom all day long because I get to see people I love. Look at this call. Look at the ladies that are on right now. A lot of you I've known for years. I wouldn't give this up for anything in the world. Some people aren't comfortable meeting in person. Some people aren't in the same town anymore. People move around. Zoom is here to stay for me because not all my networking friends are local anymore. So Zoom fatigue to me is a mindset. I'm not tired of Zoom. I'm blessed by it. I want to have a one-on-one with you. You live in Washington State. I don't care. Push this button. Let's talk. And literally, how many of us bring coffee to these calls? Hello, me. And now we get to have a coffee Zoom. So Zoom fatigue to me is a mindset. You're on all day long. You have meetings, you have trainings, whatever you do. I get that. But for me, it's a mindset, and Zoom is energizing because I get to see my friends. Now, one of the first things we're going to talk about as far as social media presence, do you Google yourself? On Google, when you're doing a search, how do I get a new barbecue grill? How do I this? How do I that? Where do I find the cheapest something? Everybody Googles all day long. Have you ever Googled yourself? Before you panic, there's about 95 gazillion trillion million Cathy Weavers in the planet. So if I had not branded myself way back when in 2008, when I started my Kangen water business full time, by the way, I would be just one of a pool of Cathy Weavers. I knew I couldn't afford to be one in a pool. So I had to distinguish myself with a brand. And that brand is Cathy Weaver KC, which in my case stands for Kansas City. So if you type in your name, your brand, whatever that looks like, in my case, again, Cathy Weaver KC, all of my platforms come up. That is exactly what I want Google to know about me. Yes, I'm on Twitter. Yes, I'm on Alignable. Yes, I'm on LinkedIn. Yes, I'm on Facebook. Yes, I'm on Instagram. Yes, I'm on the platforms where my clients are. So Google yourself, okay? Please think about that. And again, some of the things on here literally are inspirations that I've had during this shutdown time. This is my in-person presentation, Networking on Steroids, What's in Your Networking Toolbox. Some of the things in that toolbox are still relevant today, even online. First of all, one of my favorites that I keep with me all the time is pom-poms. And what that pom-pom means is, once again, if you are, let's even say Zoom fatigue, I'm sick of meetings, I'm sick of this, I'm sick of something. Let's stir up some excitement. Bring something to the meeting tomorrow that represents you. Are you excited about your business? Yeah, I do this, I do that, I do something. Well, that sounds like a blast. If you're not having fun, what's going to engage other people with you? So pom-poms are still a big deal. You'll notice on the table that all these items came out of my toolbox, of course. There's scissors. Why would anybody need scissors in a networking toolbox? Michelle, I know that you know because you've been to just about every presentation I've ever done since I first met you 100 years ago. Why would I need scissors in a networking toolbox? Cut out the negativity. Cut out what brings you down. Cut out what doesn't work for you. So all of the things in my networking toolbox are still relevant. We just don't necessarily need them anymore in person. This is an acrostic I created when I wrote my third book, and it's networking PQ, obviously. So what words stand out for you? One of the favorite words, I don't think I necessarily created the word, but swoopers beware. And most of the time when I post that on a different platform, whether it's Instagram or in my book pages, and by the way, thank you. If you would like those, that would be terrific. Facebook is Networking on Steroids, and then Networking on Steroids PQ. So I've got 2 separate book pages. I'd love if you'd like and follow on that. But every time I post my swoopers beware post, most of the time I get that, what's a swooper? What is a swooper? Tell me about that. For me, a swooper is someone who swoops in, barfs their business, and hits the road, and you never see them again. Now, also, for me, networking is literally about building relationships. Look at the screen, ladies. The people on this call, this is the tribe. Sherry and Terry Ann have a presence all over the globe. This is the tribe, the people who actually support you. This is relationship building. Swoopers don't fit. They come in, barf their business, hit the road, you never see them again. Are you going to buy from those people? Are you going to have a relationship with those folks? Probably not. Now, I've mentioned a couple times about YouTube. I didn't know diddly doodly about YouTube when the pandemic happened. I had a few videos on there. I knew just enough to be dangerous. I couldn't figure out how to claim my own URL, which was driving me crazy because you have to do www. and all this miserable stuff at the end to get your URL for people to even be able to find you. So I YouTubed how to work my YouTube channel, literally. I told you at the beginning, I know just enough to be dangerous, and hello. Push a button, cross your fingers, let's see what happens. That's kind of my deal. All of a sudden on YouTube, I have a preferred channel list, and guess who's on that list? Grace Strawn, Michelle Cruz, Terry Ann Porter, Sherry Berger. These are on my preferred list. These are my rock stars, people I meet at networking events. Different people all over the globe are now on my preferred list of happy professionals on my YouTube channel. How do you do that? Right. YouTube it, push a button, cross your fingers, figure it out. How do you do a banner ad? How do you claim your own URL? Guess what? CathyWeaver KC is now a real deal on YouTube. We'll talk more about that in another time. Okay, hold your breath. Don't freak out. This works. We mentioned before, when people are networking with you across the globe, they check you out on your social media pages, and usually, if you're in a business setting, they check you out first on LinkedIn. Usually. And by the way, I'm part of a system called Bank, BANK, which is basically like DISC, a personality sales training system. LinkedIn is very B, Instagram is very A, Facebook is very N, and Twitter is very K. Again, if you don't know what I just said, don't panic. These are some of the classes and trainings that I do throughout the year. But you can kind of tell where somebody is in the personality sales training system by what platform they use the most. And most of the time, business professionals start with LinkedIn, and then they drizzle it down to some of the other platforms depending upon where your target market is. Do you have an audio message on your LinkedIn profile? Do you have a video message on your LinkedIn profile? Have you claimed your own URL on LinkedIn? Do you have a LinkedIn banner? Does your profile picture look anything like you? Let's think about that. In order to do an audio message, and again, I'm going to go quickly, you literally go to view profile, edit profile, add name pronunciation, hold down the button, record a 10-second message, apply it, save it, boom. you've got a microphone by your name. And it's not just name pronunciation. Most people don't have trouble saying CathyWeaver. So I thought, why do I need that? I was in a training class and they said, you just wasted 10 seconds of real estate, my friend. Well, I ain't gonna waste nothing, let's just say. And so literally, I now have an audio message on my LinkedIn profile. So now what's a video message? Same drill. Click on your pretty face on your profile. At the bottom, there's a little video camera looking thing. Click on that to edit your story. You've got 30 seconds. It counts you down, 3, 2, 1. You can edit, thank goodness. You can replace it, thank goodness. And you can even delete it, thank goodness. Once again, don't panic, easy to do. We'll talk. Now, was the pandemic a challenge for you or an opportunity? Was it a yikes or was it a yay? Did you thrive or did you suffer? Now, let's suffice it to say, the pandemic was a real deal. It shut down the world. But there are those of us who decided, ain't nothing going to keep me down. Thus my book, thus my trainings, thus my global reach, thus some of the groups I'm in now that I never would have found if I was still flitting around to 5 or 6 chambers of commerce a week. And that's what I was doing, by the way. If you joined 5 or 6 chambers of commerce, not only is that a costly investment, but think of the time and travel it took. So how were you looking at this pandemic shutdown situation? A challenge or an opportunity? Did you stay home? We had to. Did you get your social media presence bumped up? I had to also. Nobody's going to find me looking for Kangen water if I do not have a social media presence. Are people going to find you for your industry? If you have done your social media work effectively, let's say, they're going to be able to find you. Remember when you Googled yourself? Yeah. Now, did you do a lunch and learn while the pandemic was happening? Did you, and what that means again is virtually. I have something to offer the world. Say that with me. I have something to offer the world. They're not going to be able to find you if you're LinkedIn, Instagram, Alignable, Twitter, YouTube, if all of your platforms are not up to speed. Are you current? Do you engage? Now, let's go back one more second to LinkedIn because I see this. I stalk a lot of you, by the way. I follow you around like a little puppy dog. So when you make a post somewhere and I see that there's no engagement, what does that look like? I don't want you to have a dead post, so to speak. So is it going to kill you to like it, share it, love it, comment on it? Let's think about that. It's back to the same thing. If somebody has something to offer, and let's say it again, I have something to offer the world. You can do a lunch and learn for a team, real estate agencies, chiropractic offices, massage therapy people, anybody that's got a large base. They want people to come in and teach their group something. If you have something of value in the world, offer to do a virtual lunch and learn. That's how we make the world smaller, my friends. Now, this is one of the things that I kind of love asking because I actually kept track of mine. Yes, I'm a little bit of a numbers freak. How many months to the gallon did you get during COVID? How many months to the gallon? Every time my car would turn a significant number, I was in a position where I could actually take a picture. So I happen to know personally, for real, I promise you, I drove 4,000 miles in 13 months compared to basically Chamber of Commerce hopping around 4,000 miles in 1 month during the height of my networking in person. 13 months, I drove 4,000 miles. And the way I know that is my odometer pictures. Yeah, sad but true. My insurance agent is thrilled, of course. Okay, the face of networking has changed for me, big time, huge time. If you have not heard of Happy Neighborhood Project, I hadn't either. So all of a sudden I thought, you know, my chambers of commerce have not only shut down, but some of the Zooms are ineffective at best, sadly attended at worst. But even so, I knew it was a punt and pivot time for me. So I started searching for networking groups. And luckily, one of my colleagues said, let's try HNP. What is that? Let's figure it out. We did. I also was looking for Christian women networking groups. I found CWEN, Christian Women Entrepreneur Network. I have met ginormous rock star leaders at CWEN. I have met superstars all over the globe with HNP. If you did not punt and pivot during the pandemic, say that 10 times real quick, all of a sudden, what happened to your networking? Did your skills go down? Did your network go down? Did your engagement with others go down? I'm not allowing that to get the best of me. So think about what online networking looks like. There are tons of groups now, super fun. Was your business essential? Hello? How many of us missed our hairstylist? I said, Pumpkin, I am a mess. And this is one of my favorite things, and I usually honestly do it. I don't know if you can see with all the green screen weirdness here, but I literally kept a hat by my screen every single time. And 2 hats, of course, in my case, because you got to have gold bling or you're not going to be CathyWeaver. Hello, I know, seriously. But if it doesn't sparkle, I don't want it. And so I literally went, OMG. So in one of my groups, I said, how about everybody wears a hat or a costume or something to our meeting next Thursday? It just revved up the excitement a little bit when everybody was in the height of this thick. I said to my stylist, whatever you're charging is not enough. And then, of course, I went, yikes. So I said, except for me. So think about that. How bad did you miss your stylist? And then, of course, one of the biggest engagements I got, this is on the bottom right, by the way, that blonde wig thing, that's a Halloween costume topic. And so I thought, what the heck? So I took a selfie and I said, God, Francie, I miss you like cray cray. And I got more hits on that crazy selfie, stupid post with this crazy hair happening than anything else, because I could see people were kind of going, woe is me, sky is falling, oh my gosh. And I thought, we gotta kick this up a notch. Let's do it. Once again, this is one of the Corona coasters for me. When people were in the height of it, the only thing for me that kept me going was my faith, and praise music was cranking up in my house all day long. So how did you cope with it? Bigger than how did you cope with it? How did your team cope with it? How did your colleagues cope with it? How did your network cope with it? So the Corona coaster for a lot of us was real. What did your work from home office look like? And people were taking pictures of flowers and sunsets and sunrises and things that we hadn't looked at in quite some time. What did your home office look like? Are you still taking pictures of that stuff? Or now that you're in person again, you're not noticing the trees, the sky, the flowers? How did you brand yourself with your virtual identity? A lot of us with the Zoom thing, we had to learn baptism by fire. How do you do a green screen? What does that look like? In my case, if you zap my QR code, and again, this is how you do a QR code. On your LinkedIn page on your phone, don't go any further than just opening up your LinkedIn app. At the very top where it has that search bar, go to the right where that little square thing is. Don't do any searching. Just click on that little square and it'll say QR code or scan. So my QR code is exactly as you see it. If you want to scan it and connect with me on LinkedIn, it works. I've done it even yesterday. And take where it says scan, hold it up to the screen on your computer right now, and it'll take you right to my LinkedIn page. And that's why I do it. That's why all this online networking I did, that's how we got to connect. All right, this is a toilet paper conversation. And the reason I say that is the shortage was contrived, perhaps. One person on social media took a picture of an empty shelf. That person on social media that took a picture of an empty shelf, all of a sudden there's a toilet paper shortage. In my case, especially with Kangen water, what if I took a package of toilet paper to a meeting with my business card prominently placed on it as a door prize? Think about it. We're going to go through this pretty quickly. Edification is one of my favorite terms, and it doesn't hurt to edify someone, and you can kind of tell the professionals who do it. So think about edification. It's actually one of the chapters in my book. And by the way, on my YouTube channel, all 3 of my books are for free. I've done the video piece, so click on the introduction on the playlist of whichever book you're interested in. You get it for free. I'm not trying to sell anything here. Be creative. We took that to a whole new degree. One of my YouTube videos is literally how to prevent your glasses from fogging with your mask on. It's pretty funny. I got a lot of hits on that too. People are a riot. This is one of the things we were talking about, a LinkedIn engagement. If you do a posting party, and if you haven't done one yet, please connect with me because I'll do one for your organization at no charge. But if you haven't done a posting party yet, think about it. Usually on LinkedIn, you get 5 or 10 comments. That's lovely. A few views here, a few views there. I was probably hovering around the 50 mark. I did my first posting party, and you'll notice how many views I got on this stupid little dead plant. Belonged to one of my best friends, by the way, not me. I don't do plants, not because I don't kill them. And so 579 views on this poor thing. And of course, I was talking about hydration and water, and I got 38 comments. When someone takes the time to comment on any of your posts, comment back. Thank you for coming. That's a cool idea. I never thought of it that way. Comment back. It keeps the momentum on your page going. Once again, the Wheel of Happiness, I think these are a blast. We're going to talk about that in a minute because I've actually got a share screen up to show some of you. Networking was a biggie. How do we look 1 year later? Do you do bingo parties online? So many of the things we did to keep people engaged, and I'm still doing them now, by the way. This is one of the handouts that I think Sherry and Terry Ann have offered to you of my presentation. If you know everything on this handout, you'll have an opportunity to be really a professional networking on steroids post-quarantine. So thank you so much for having me. I'm sure my time is getting close to up. But I do want to offer one thing really super quickly. This is fun, fun, fun times a million. Where would it be at this moment? I think here. Nope. I want to see if I can find it because it is so fun. Here we go. Boom. This is the Wheel of Names, and several of the people here who have been on my calls. You put your, boom. All right. As you can see, Emma Toops is the winner. What I want to show you on this is wheelofnames.com, and I've again been doing this for a lot of times in my company. You brand it. My logo's in the middle, as you can see. The people who attend your event, these are some of the girls that were on last night, by the way. And the cool part is all you do, type in their names as they arrive. Your logo's in the center, so that's what they see the whole time. Again, keep your group excited, engaged, and they will be rock stars just like Sherry and Terry Ann. So thank you, ladies, again for having me, and I am thrilled to be part of the Purposeful Joy Summit.